rewind time and just, you know, echo this one. But
now
either
that
way,
covered it, it's all I can think about. I'm like, I just would have liked that pick so much more. Yeah.
Unlucky, but hey, they saw the mid lane and all right, you're playing TF, we can now pick all the Silas champions. We're fine now. Either way, comp is in Immortals. I like this. Insanity, by the way, has been getting really good damage numbers so far in the LCS. I really like him on damage mages. Karthus is one of those. I think Karthus is incredibly strong. Very good pick overall. They've got Ashe Morgana, which is a great bottom lane. I think it completely screws over what Bard wants to do at kind of all times. You've got a lot of good poke. You've got a lot of sustain. Just kind of pushing down the lane. Trundle for Xmithie, we know he's good at that one. You've got Ornn engaged. This comp looks really solid.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways for them to engage. There's also lots of ways to make it easier to hit the skill shots to engage. You have the Wall of Pain slow, you have the Pillar slow. Those both set up very well for Ornn ulti as well as Ashe ulti. Even bindings can be very hard to dodge if you're on top of a Trundle Pillar. So there's lots of ways for them to start the fights. I do think if you're fighting front to back, they should have the advantage. It's going to be very difficult for some of the champions to actually fight through the Karthus passive. You know, if Karthus is charging in there with Ornn on top and these champions kind of in that mix, it becomes so difficult for your backline to access their backline.
I will say there is some counter pick on some counter play on the other side. On the one hand, you've got Morgana who can black shield a gold card if TF ults in. On the other, you could just Bard ult your teammate when they go for the Karthus Requiem. You're like, it's okay, I got you, bud. Here's a free Zonias. Hopefully they can coordinate that well because we know TF might want to pick it up at some point. So, you know, make sure you time those properly, but that should be doable with the coordination. A lot of fun stuff could happen here in this game. I do like Gangplank. We've seen Gangplank kind of make a resurgence here in the LCS. I think it's been really solid overall. We saw Huhi have a bad early game into a masterful mid to late game. Last week, CLG's Deus stood in, got wrecked in the early laning phase, and then went great in the mid to late game. Like, GP does a lot. There's a lot of globals in this team. Bard, GP, TF, like they're going to get in there, and it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and it can be very scrappy. You know, I was kind of focusing on the strength of Immortals, you know, in the team fight, but Golden Guardians doesn't have to necessarily team fight, right? As long as you're actually, you know, able to slow down the soul snowball, you know, not just give up every single dragon. You can play side lanes with TF. You can have TF joining up with GP. You know, GP ulting bot lane, and then TF ults in. All of a sudden, it's a 4v2. You can set up these types of situations very effectively. Karthus does answer somewhat. You know, if TF ults somewhere, Karthus can ult to help out that fight and try to swing it in your favor a bit, but I do think Golden Guardians are going to have a good ability to play the map. It's just going to be perhaps harder to execute than what Immortals has drafted.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch for here. We are on to the Rift for our last game of the day. Golden Guardians 4-6, Immortals 2-8, just on the outside of the playoff cusp. 4 wins right now is 8th place, with 100 Thieves still having 1 to play afterwards as well. They could improve to 5. And Immortals with 8 games to play must win at least 2. Most likely, they probably got to win 3 or 4. They got to go about 50-50 over the back half of the split if they want to make playoffs. That is my prediction here. We'll see if they can do that. It is an uphill battle for them. Golden Guardians right now are in playoff position, although as a low seed, it makes it difficult. We'll see how they can do. I think this team can keep improving. This is going to be fun right here.
I don't think Morgana saw them. So if they actually walk back towards their side of the map, Golden Guardians just have to wait. Someone's going to face check them. Let's see.
They're going to find Hakuho for some CC. More damage comes across. Closer getting a bit low, and they got to be respectful now because Closer at 200 health. Could be a very easy target. He's regenning, chugging the potions. Golden Guardians, of course, able to easily run back to their own side of the map, no problem. But there's a deep ward for Immortals, and Closer, you don't want to have to recall here, right? But you're still at half HP coming into your start of jungle.
He's just going to start topside. I think that's the answer. You know that there's a ward left there. You don't really know, if they're going to stay around and harass you. So he just immediately went up towards the top side. GP will help leash him blue. He should be fine. He did start machete, so he wants to focus on the single target camps. Obviously, well, you do start that anytime for Sett jungle. But you can even just do something like blue and then Gromp and then red and be perfectly happy to try to recall off of that. Maybe you have to blow your smite a little bit earlier, but we'll see where he does decide to go. A little bit of hesitation on if he wants to go to Gromp or not there.
He's like, Gromp's too lethal. I'm a little bit too low to fight Gromp. We're going to go for the Wolves. They're a bit easier. Ooh, nice little hit there from Hakuho. Big damage. FBI has to burn a heal early. Hakuho still has Ignite. Finally pops it. That's going to be, no, it's a cleanse. The cleanse keeps him alive. FBI lives because Huhi had heal. Oh, that was a close one there. At the end of the day, a summonerless FBI has to walk back to lane. Immortals are crushing so far.
Yeah, great binding. Just the one binding being enough there from Hakuho. He has been such a good Morgana player throughout his career. It's been a while since he's brought it out, but they were one of the bottom lanes, Apollo and Hakuho, who loved playing Morgana Caitlyn, for example, as an answer to Zyra Khan and things like this. And they have always been very solid at that. that one bind not only forces FBI back to base, but they actually got 3 summoners there. They got the flash, the cleanse, the heal off Huhi. They're going to be able to deny some of this farm potentially here too. And Apollo is starting Cull to boot, so
I love
Cull
Cull
feeling
starts.
pretty good about that.
So I will say that about 3 patches ago, maybe a bit more, they buffed the base health and health scaling of AD carries. And I didn't think AD carries were too squishy before that change anyway. So you're essentially getting Doran's Blade health for free, give or take, but it's close, which means you can just start Cull anyway and get free gold. Because Ashe will also always get a lifesteal item first. You're not even missing lifesteal because you're rushing Ruin King. So you have lifesteal, you have base health. Cull is just 450 free gold if you choose that over Doran's Blade. So you just accelerate your build. I love Cull starts in bot lane now.
Yep. I think the only risk here is what is happening now. If you get ganked, you're missing some health here, and Apollo has no flash.
Well, Apollo is going to die whether or not he had 80 bonus health, so first blood comes through to Closer. Had a bad start, but still gets the gank off, and once again, Closer finds ways to make the early game go well.
It's the jungle difference down in the bot lane as Apollo and Hakuho were winning that 2v2, but a good gank here comes through from Closer despite the fact that Huhi didn't actually find the latch on the wall. Didn't matter. They just ran him down. You know, I'm not sure if it would have made any difference for Apollo to actually heal for the move speed. He obviously made the judgment call that he wasn't getting out either way and just decided to hold on to that heal. So accepting the death, even turning back to make sure that Hakuho would get out. But thankfully for him, you know, it is even on farm, and the kill went to the Sett. So you're going to be happier about that than if it went the way of the Aphelios.
Alrighty, look at this game state. 500 gold lead to Golden Guardians. I will say they have 2 champions who print money via their passive, so both Damonte and Hauntzer are going to have inflated gold values. So the scoreboard will lie very slightly. Very often you look at the gold lead and you're like, okay, this is what team that is playing better, the team that is winning because they're doing more. In this case, Golden Guardians will have a gold lead because their champions are balanced around just printing free money, so it will lie a little bit to you.
Yep. It's one of those things that's a bit interesting because, as you say, like that's the key part is that it's balanced around having extra gold, right? So, you know, being up a couple hundred gold on a TF when you're farming even is more like saying you're kind of even in power. But either way, they do have that first blood and are going to be happy about that. You know, we'll see how much this farm Allorim can pick up in the top lane, but you know, a good early lane phase here from Hauntzer, which is kind of expected against the Ornn. You know, unless you really misplay on GP, it can be pretty difficult for Ornn to punish you whatsoever. And if you can't punish GP in the really early levels, then it's pretty tough once GP's on Sheen and starts getting some levels in for the barrel because you can pretty comfortably control that wave.
Definitely the case right here. And whenever he wants, he can take the recall. He's easily got Sheen money at this point in time. Basically, everyone's going to have around 1,300 gold from all the farming roles. We can see upgraded boots came through for Damonte. Extra couple of rings came through for Insanity on their first recalls. And we'll see how long they want to wait until those first things do come through. Hauntzer maybe wants to burn through his mana pool. Eats the barrel there. It looks like Allorim probably wants to TP back pretty soon. He's starting to trade pretty heavily. He's trying to get some damage down. He's going to get his health bar back regardless. So, yeah, goes in for a trade. Doesn't do too much. That's okay. Cannons traded back and forth as the mid laners clear their waves. And it's a 1 CS difference here in the mid lane, 47 to 48.
Yep, you know, totally fine there. Just kind of farming it out. But honestly, if this is just going to be a farm lane, Insanity's way happier. You know, Damonte wants to be out making plays on the map. Insanity just wants to sit here and farm, and he wants to keep the TF locked under his turret. So if you're able to do that on the Karthus, you're in a great spot. Damonte, okay, he should survive. Not enough to actually die to the ult, but one more Q actually would have probably meant you could die there.
Would have been a lot closer for sure. Damonte did rush Mercury Tread, so he has that like 50-ish MR right now. Actually, probably 60 and change because of stat shards. But yes, still, it is a threat. It is damaging. It is deadly. Want to point out it is Airy here on the Karthus, not Dark Harvest, that I know is really popular in solo queue. Airy is the stronger one. Nice smite there, at least for pro play, I should say. And it is going to be a bottom scuttle grabbed in the jungle. It's a 2.5 camp lead for Xmithie, although Closer has gotten that gank off. Ulti comes through. Allorim really wants to fight Hauntzer here. Forces the flash out of the Gangplank. Thought it was going to be too much damage. Did not want to lose that much health, although if he had lived, he could always just TP back to the lane.
Yeah, nicely done. Does force out that flash. That's going to be feeling pretty good when you can trigger ult out for that. And people are obviously going to be fairly nervous about that Ornn all-in, but I think the reason he was respecting it so much was because there is a Karthus in the game, right? And if it is just the Ornn there, then you just take that damage and you heal it back up with oranges and you farm under your turret, and you're probably not going to die because without ult, there's really little to no kill pressure from the Ornn. But he probably didn't know if he was going to get in lethal range with the additional damage from that Karthus. So, you know, not having an exact calculation on that makes it an ability he wants to flash.
Yeah, definitely a smart choice right there, because you're right. That's the calculation that a lot of players will just kind of forget about. Be like, oh, right, crap, Karthus. Okay, well, mid-diff, I guess, or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, a good play by Hauntzer to have to flash, because you're right. I think it would have put him maybe into lethal range.
Yeah.
So he has come back, regenning back up, hasn't come back to lane, but still has his Sheen, and the potion's coming in, and he's comfortable enough here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that it would have killed him, but it would have been close, right? And that's why he flashed, and that's why it can kind of look a little bit silly in isolation. Karthus is one of those champions that it just makes it frustrating, because it's one of those things that it changes how everyone on the map has to play their lanes out. When they actually, are in isolation. You know so well, okay, how much damage can I take? What can I do? Do I win this all in? Karthus changes all the math on that. Sometimes it's something that can kind of get lost. I do think that Soraka does similar things with that, where you have to always be considering this global ultimate that is just not even possible to miss, right? You just press the button, and it's going to hit you. And now it changes, do you get to fight or not, at lots of times in the game.
For sure. Well, we look at the game state again, and the gold lead is growing. The first blood obviously helping with that one, but also the passives stacking gold as well. Mid lane is still farming pretty close to equal. Very small farm lead to the top lane on the Golden Guardian side. Otherwise, bot and jungle fairly close, all things considered. Xmithie getting no contest here on the top side. Rift Herald that is currently lane pressure in both mid and top, allowing that to be effortless and easy. The Morgana had roamed over as well. Allorim going to get himself the turret plate, most likely. Xmithie here as well in case there's a play. There isn't one, but the plate still goes over, and they might just go for the dive, and they are. Hauntzer, they know he is flashless. Herald not yet popped, no way through this one, and they're going to pop him right away. Can't do anything else. Insanity, burned ult just in case. Didn't need it at the end of the day, but it helped to secure it just in case it was going to go weird. 2 turret plates drop in the bottom side, but top is going to get absolutely cracked here. That is 2 plates down. You summon the Herald after the second plate dies, and look at this. At 9.5 minutes, Allorim got counterpicked, but with a bit of lane pressure, they're going to knock down first turret in his lane.
It's a good move here from Xmithie. I mean, Xmithie just kept farming while Closer was looking to pressure and got a kill on the bot side. Xmithie was staying ahead a bit in farm. He did grab the Herald there, and Trundle, tank or not, crushes turrets because you have the W attack speed that you're getting, you have the auto attack reset and the bonus damage from the chomp. The unfortunate side for Immortals is that they're losing all of this on the bottom side. Apollo and Hakuho have basically been AFK at their tier 2 tower for the last while because TF kept going missing. They knew Closer could be on this side of the map, so if they try to defend, it's a 4v2 and they just die on the dive. So it is intelligent that they backed up, but there is also a cost there that has to be considered because they lost 4 plates. They lost probably at least 2 waves of farm. So despite the fact that the gank worked on the top side and they get the turret, that's all great. But Golden Guardians was fighting back on the bottom side and potentially getting that gold in a more important place with this Aphelios.
Okay, look at the game once again. It's a lot closer, obviously. Getting first turret and all 5 plates topside gives you a whole ton of money, but it is going all to the front line there of Immortals. That is sometimes really valuable. If your tanks can't die, you just win every team fight for free. But, generally speaking, you want to donate 1,000 gold to Ashe or Karthus when possible. So, arguably, there could have been better targets. Still good ones to be clear. The game very, very close. At this point, you would say maybe Immortals are actually winning because, again, Gangplank and TF lied you with gold leads. Regardless, a fairly close game between these teams as Hauntzer walks back to top side and wants to keep scrapping with Allorim.
Yep, going pretty well. And, Ornn, another champion that kind of distorts the gold. They are going to try to clear out this wave as best he can, but 4-man top, you are dead, my friend.
Ultless, flashless, 4 to the top side. That's going to be a lot of damage. Allorim needs to die. Huhi has to claim the kill because Golden Guardians couldn't get the rest of it through. That is the least important gold target there. Yes, Hauntzer gets a turret plate. Yes, Damonte will help. They'll knock down the second, but that was a lot of effort spent. Mid lane's being pushed in. Those are waves being lost. At the same time, there's also waves being lost in top, so you can't really hate on that dive being a smart play.
Yeah, no, it was actually pretty good because the wave still isn't even to the turret in mid lane, and no one was even laning a bot lane for Immortals, so they had no pressure out on the map until, just now. Now there's being some gold actually bought back here by Immortals as they will be able to take 2 plates. They will be able to deny a little bit of gold here minion-wise, but still, it's a play you want to see Golden Guardians able to do. Hauntzer got targeted, so they want to try to put him back in an advantageous position. They want to have the ability to have GP pressuring the Ornn, pushing up side lanes, because very likely they're going to have to play heavily through side lanes with GPTF when you are looking up against a Karthus and an Ornn as their counterparts, with Trundle to make the set very squishy.
Doran Shield and Nicole for FBI. Both goals about to finish popping, so they're both going to pop that, plus 350 at the end of it all. Easy blue buff handoff there to Insanity, who was farming at a decent clip. 120 CS at 12 minutes. Honestly, that does mean he's dropping a fair bit. Keep in mind, almost 13 minions spawn per minute. 6 melee, 6 ranged, and usually a cannon across every 2 waves. So only 10 CS a minute is not the highest mark, especially for someone who has not really been getting ganked. It means he is dropping some CS. Same is true for Damonte, but at least Damonte has been roaming around the map. So I would like to see higher numbers. There are some karthus who will get that 13 CS a minute pretty much from the get-go. Something close to that. Not the worst thing in the world, but do want to point out there is some farm being dropped, and in a non-interactive lane, you sometimes want a bit more than that.
Yeah, I definitely hear you, and I think in an ideal situation, you should get that. But I do think that a lot of his effort was actually just pushed on, maximizing the speed at which he pushed the wave to try to lock Damonte under his turret, right? And sometimes when you are doing that, you're not being as careful with the last hitting. You're putting out Qs that might put those minions at a little bit of an awkward amount of health so that they can die to the other minions. But there is, a trade-off at the very least. It's not as though he's just AFK standing in one place trying to maximize farm. He's trying to keep the TF locked under turret and has done a fairly admirable job of that, thus far.
Absolutely. Well, recalls coming through. Coals are completed. Paolo has upgraded boots. He's most of the way over to Blade of the Ruin King. Just needs the combined cost for himself. Meanwhile, the components of Infinity Edge have come through for FBI, so he's comfortable as well off of a pretty solid 15 CS lead down there on the bottom side. And after having to lose your flash at level 1 and being summonerless, one gank turns it around, and then the Golden Guardians can feel comfortable down to that bottom side of the map. Huhi has switched all of his summoners over. He joined the game with heal flash. He's currently got Exhaust Ignite like he's Yuumi, and is ready to go find something else to do down here, as he's going to be escapeless, but certainly has a lot of offensive pressure with these sums.
Yeah, and he is going for the kind of pretty standard tank build, so he's not that worried. It's going to be difficult to knock him down when he has stopwatch, when he has the Giant's Belt and some armor. Also, obviously, has that magical portal to zoom on out and can kind of rely on that as long as he's staying around a wall. He does have that as an escape.
Right now, Golden Guardian's trying to play around a catch.
Okay.
That is a great hawk shot, but he can still be a target. Tempered Fate into a journey would have been enough to kill Apollo every single time if they wanted to go for it. He's like, yeah, they're missing. I know these tricks. Let's play this one smartly. Good hawk shot, gets away, no problem. Now, contest around the bottom river. Drake is alive. Golden Guardians have 1. They want number 2. Into Hakuho they go. He's going to get Azonia's Hourglass off. Damonte is around. Here comes a possible re-engage. Ult lands for FBI. Huhi's got to be careful. Pops the stopwatch. The dunk in the backhand side. Allorim can't go a lot of places. He's going to go down even after the blast cone. Now Huhi very, very low. Does get killed. A nice Q is going to land from the Karthus. 4v4 on the map. And be respectful of rank 2 Karthus ulti. Maybe they're going to find a new target. Damonte low on mana. Wish he has blue card now for the Mountain Drake to get his mana back up. Clarity goes over from Spellbook for Damonte, and he's got enough mana to now feel comfortable yet again. Drake goes over. 2 Drakes grabbed by Golden Guardians, and the gold lead is 1,400.
I think it's a smart concede from there for Immortals. Trying to walk through that choke into GP barrels and TF seems like it would be pretty ill-advised. But a good fight there from Golden Guardians. They're able to grab the dragon. They're able to start that off very proactively, utilizing the Bard portal, getting on top of Hakuho. I think he had a good reaction, but the rest of Immortals just couldn't join in as quickly. And Allorim, was pretty ineffective on that TP. He didn't really have a lot of places to TP to, so it's kind of hard to blame him on that one. But he TP'd in. Wasn't even able to really stay around to redirect the ultimate. So here it is one more time. They see Insanity over to the left. They see Xmithie over to the left, and they just straight up go right in. The TP comes through very quickly, and you can see they're able to kind of kite it back and just kind of go straight over onto Allorim, who had TP'd in. He gets focused down, and the GP ultimate was just slaughtering them. As Hauntzer dropped that in the choke, they were trying to move forward to get over to Ornn and help him out, but you just can't walk through the GP ultimate, especially with threat of barrels there too.
Yeah, Tempered Fate in a stopwatch bought about 5 seconds for Huhi, and he's like, all right, I'm back out. Put the ulti down. I'll camp. It's cool. We're good. Insanity barely landed the Qs. The last lay waste was enough to kill him off. Huhi almost nearly got out. As we mentioned, of course, the Drake was grabbed. But now mid lane pressure. Immortal's going to get a lot of damage down here. Demolish is going to be ready. Big chunk there. Tempered Fate could set up for a fight. Can they find the damage? It's really only wave clear. Turret's going to stay alive. No stun for the Bard, and this will be a living turret. 1-1 on that scoreboard so far. Top turret dead on the Golden Guardian side. Bot turret dead on the Immortal side, as mid lane is still the target. Oh, that was nearly the stun, but they got split apart by the pillar. The coordination should have been better. That could have been a pick.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there for them. They got to be on point with those engages. They do get the flash off of FBI, though, so that's something working in their favor. I still think they'll be pretty happy about it. I've got to say I'm surprised to see Insanity go for a tier this late. You know, he had the full Roa first and then just picked up the tier, I do believe. So, you know, that is going to be something that comes online very late in the game. Honestly think you could just go Ludens second. If you're not going to go tier first, if you're not going to grab like tier Catalyst and really slow down for that, you know, I think it's completely fine to just depend on the extra mana from Lost Chapter and Ludens and have a little bit more burst there. But
sure.
You know, this to me signifies that they think this game is going to go on for a really long time. And if it does go late, then this option could pay off.
Yep, and that's the risk. And that's always what's interesting about item choices. I'm like really happy with how the Mage item rework happened, you know, 2 years ago. It's, well, yeah, maybe Karthus only is the only champion who will make this choice second, but I'm glad there are options. It's like, well, which one do I want? Because I want 20 CDR, I want my ult off cooldown. And he says, yeah, we're going to go for the very late game scaling option. We're going to just sit there and scale and wait, and I'll be a bigger beast later on in the game. For now, Immortals can feel comfortable. They knock down the mid turret, and they're the first to 2 turret kills on this game. As the jungle is poached around, Xmithie, Smite steals from his own mid laner. He's like, no, 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 the chicken is mine. You back off. That is my gold, thank you very much.
I respect
Next spawns in 2.
You know, you need to fight for your rights as a jungler. You got to get something.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, Hauntzer getting pretty strong here. Looks like he is probably going towards Essence Reaver second. This is the same build we saw Huhi go for earlier. High levels of CDR and really does give you a tremendous amount of burst. Nice ult there, forcing the flash, though, onto Xmithie, and he'll be pushed back quite a bit.
Alrighty, well, it's at least flash for flash, as FBI is still down for about 3 minutes. So that's going to be nice to see, and it does mean that it's going to be flashless on those 2 champions when this next fight begins. 120 left on the Infernal Drake. Golden Guardians already have the first 2. They're stacking them up pretty confidently, and it feels like they're having the easier time in team fights. Turrets have been traded back. It's 2-2 in that scoreboard so far. Kills 3-2. Golden Guardians having a slightly better time there. Really haven't seen a lot of the global TF happen. He's mostly been just accepting waves and wave clearing. He's going for Lichbane with a stopwatch, so if he gets to split push, he can knock down turrets there. So far, though, not happening just yet.
Yep, not been able to really get out too much to those side lanes. We haven't seen too many ultimates. A couple proactive plays from them have resulted in some success, but it is one of those situations where I do think Karthus did a good job of kind of just locking him out of the turret. But we could see them try to go more to the side lanes after they knock down this mid lane tier 1. Allorim's here, though, and he wants to engage.
Can't find the knockup. Damonte sidesteps without burning even a summoner. Big damage on the turret's going to stay alive, and Pillar blows while paying me the stun. He's got the cleanse, though. Damonte kites away, stays alive. As the the cannon barrage comes down and keeps the Immortals from chasing in. Health bar is fairly low. Golden Guardian still wants to go forward. Closer coming around the wings. He can go for an ult engage, but they caught Huhi, and that was huge for Allorim. The dunk comes in for the re-engage, and they've traded that one back. And the pullback, Xmithie is going to drop as well. Golden Guardians lost support and came right back with 2 kills and a vengeance.
Yeah, nice little flank there came in from Closer as they killed off Huhi. I think that Immortals felt they could move forward and continue to fight this, and instead Closer gets a bigger target. They take down the jungler and the top laner, so it's going to put them at soul point here. And, you know, despite the fact that this Karthus is a great scaling pick, it hasn't had, you know, that much effectiveness yet. And, you know, you're getting to kind of the danger zone where you're at soul point and your opponents are closing in on what is a strong win condition. So we watch this one more time. Honestly, a really nice sidestep there from Damonte. Heads up play. He was slowed up, but I think had Nimbus Cloak proc there perhaps for the added move speed, so he was able to dodge out. Then the GP ulti is used there to disengage. As the GP ultimate expires, though, they spot Closer down below them, so they say, all right, let's just engage. Binding caught Huhi there. It was really nicely placed around those minions. I don't think Huhi would have expected to get hit from that angle, but the punish is fully in effect, and they're able to knock down 2 members from Immortals. And I'm pretty sure we still haven't seen a Karthus ult yet this game at 21 minutes. And
it was used in the top lane dive when they killed Hauntzer, but he died before the ulti could land. So, yes, Insanity has 0 KP with his ulti because the one time he cast it, it was to help a dive that didn't need help.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not really his fault. Like, it's not as though there's been all these situations where it's like, why didn't you press it, right? It's just showing that it's been this kind of very passive game, and they haven't gotten as much out of the Karthus as I was honestly expecting. I did think it was going to be more of a scrappy game. I did think that they were going to be able to use that Karthus ultimate in some of these kind of cross-map plays to try to have Karthus park mid lane and look for fights in side lanes with Ashe and try to have Karthus swing those fights in their favor, but hasn't been the case, and now they're going to lose their mid lane.
Okay, so 3 turrets comes in first for Golden Guardians. The lead stretches to 3,500 in 3.5 minutes. we've got Infernal Soul on the board, and that probably is going to be too much for Immortals to bear. They've already been bleeding the map out. You add a neutral global buff on, and it's probably all she wrote. The chance of winning goes down to maybe 10% or something. It's probably already at like 25. Hauntzer pushing down to the bottom side. He's going to be answered here by Allorim as he's just pushing in the waves. Trundle is heading over, but Trundle is on a ward, which means Hauntzer is going to be very safe here. Can easily barrel chain down the wave, but says, well, he swept the ward out. If he goes down to the right-hand side, I can't see him. Let's just play this more defensively. We'll play on the backside. No big deal here. Q down a melee minion. Q down the cannon minion. It's fine. Closer going to go hit this blue buff. No one's around. Says, great. Thanks for the 10 CDR. Really, really impactful on me.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to stay full mana. He's never going to run out. So that's always good on the Sett.
Yep.
But Damonte maybe not as impressed with his decision to take that at 23 minutes into the game. But yeah, TF doesn't usually run out of mana. You can just refill with gold, or rather with blue cards, fairly effectively. So not going to be feeling too bad about that. But Immortals, you know, they do have good wave clear in the side lanes. It's honestly hard for GP to threaten turrets into Ornn unless you have Baron buff or something, because against the non-Baron buff minions, Ornn wave clears out fine. So does the Karthus. But it is Immortals that are kind of getting stretched thin. There's more ways for Golden Guardians to move around the map. You know, there is obviously the TF ultimate is going to be up much more often than the Karthus TP, and it's also kind of just more effective. So it's tough for Immortals because they're getting forced to answer these side lane waves, and it's denying them opportunities to kind of look for fights prior to that dragon.
All right, well, the map is bleeding out. We are 2 minutes. Sucks to lose the cannon. Unlucky. It's okay. 2 minutes till the Infernal spawns, and that would be Infernal Soul for Golden Guardians. Decent damage to the bottom side. Great barrel chain actually chunks both the frontliners of Immortals. Bit of wave clear coming through, trying to knock down this turret as best they can. Puts it to half HP. Yeah, it's going pretty well here. Allorim tries the front line, can only do so much. Turret's at 1/3. Good bind, though. Closer has to be careful. Thankfully for him, he is quite tanky and survives it all. Has a stopwatch if he needs it.
Was also a nice barrel there from Hauntzer, kind of zoning back the Ashe. If Ashe could have just fully committed forward into that, might have been able to get a lot more damage out, but because the barrel was getting placed, Apollo had to dodge backwards to avoid that, and that allows Closer to not take too much damage and back off easy peasy.
Gonna stay alive then, but the game is about to come to a head as we're 1 minute away from the Infernal spawning, and that's where the team fight's gonna happen. That's the climactic battle. Archangel staff is not yet Seraph's Embrace. It would have been Luden's Echo, to your point earlier, about going for a slightly earlier game item. And yeah, the Infernal Soul is certainly a button to look at here. Right now, Insanity not talking to File to keep stacking Archangels when out of combat. Needs the mana pool a bit more, it looks like, but that is going to delay Seraph slightly. 40 seconds now on Infernal. Immortals have the river first. You can see their ward coverage. They've got several control wards down that side of the river, a couple of regular ones around the brushes nearby, and FBI and the rest of the crew will have a red buff and a little bit of mid lane pressure as top lane is being attacked. Damonte right now has TP underneath that summoner heal. He can burn the heal to do nothing and then TP down. Otherwise, he can simply use the ulti to come across the map. Knocks down the top lane turret. No answer there. 4 turrets to 2. And looking nearer and nearer to the inhibitor. There's always a chance Golden Guardians says, screw it. Take one Drake, we'll take turrets.
Exactly, that's the problem, and that's what I wanted to talk about, is the fact when you're sitting 3-0 in Dragons, you don't have to actually force anything. You can just say, all right, you're going to give me the inhibitor turret for free? Great. In this case, they don't, so Ornn goes back to base, and they force out the TP, and now Golden Guardians have the inside track on this Dragon. We'll see if Immortals can force the team fight.
Stun for Huhi, levels identical on the junglers. Tempered Fate could be used to deny Xmithie a smite. And that would be maybe one way to make it not a 50-50. But overall, look at this. Right-hand side, Damonte can walk up saying, hey, this is our benefit for playing the minion waves. We got to shove down bot. I can walk over and threaten a turret by proximity. So you better start this Drake right now, and indeed they do. Wall of Pain is down. Nice Q poke from Insanity. Fight could be coming pretty soon. Here comes the Ornn. Ulti is going to land. It's going to stop him from doing anything. How about the re-engage? Fight comes in. Well done by Xmithie, but he might be killed off for this one. Cannon Barrage comes down. 1 for 0 so far as trade of the Drake. Allorim Flash is trying to get away, but he's been rooted up by FBI, and without any more ways out, a Black Shield keeps him alive. They break down the Black Shield, but not in time for the gold card to be stopped. Regardless, he will still go down. 2-0 in the team fight. No jungler, no top laner, no engage tools. It's time to run to Baron.
Yep, they're going to be able to trade that Baron. It was a great smite from Xmithie. That could have been Soul and Baron. Thankfully for them, it's not, but now Hakuho caught out here.
Oh, he's so dangerously low, but it is going to force him to flash away. Apollo's out of mana. Damonte taking some big hits, though. He's got to be careful. Still could be the target. Xmithie alive in 4 seconds, but Golden Guardians can easily go look at Baron. Early bit of damage comes through. Spellbook Smite, I believe, came through from the TF, and now it's time for the fight to begin. Xmithie is on the way, but he will not be in range in time. The flash in for Apollo. They can just barely get it. He burns down, but it's one traded back. Insanity wants in, and the health bars are low. He had already used the Requiem to get a bit of damage across. 2k health left on Baron. They got to be careful. They got to knock this thing down fast. The smite can come through. It will be grabbed by Closer, but the re-engage could be good enough. A kill could come through. Closer will drop, and then Baron buff is only on 2. And be careful because these guys can chase you down. Immortals have all, well, 4 of the 5 alive, but FBI can walk away. TF gives vision, ults away, and look, Golden Guardians, they don't get the soul. The fight goes close, but they grab Baron on 2.
They do get Baron, which is pretty good for them. We'll see how well they can use that. It is on TF, which is key, because TF is going to be out in those side lanes, and Aphelios will be with the squad to Baron buff up there. I wonder if Insanity could have played it more aggressively, but we're going to get a replay of this previous fight. Golden Guardians tried to focus down Xmithie, but Xmithie dropped the ulti, healed for a lot with this, and it just barely kept him alive long enough for him to flash back to the dragon after being dunked away, lands the smite. That is critical because that really did save them from losing the game immediately. But then Allorim just gets chased down, and honestly, it's a really well-timed Black Shield there to immune the Bard Q, to immune that gold card, but Allorim had no way out. They did land some really good poke, though, as the team went over to the Baron, and this kind of scrapping back and forth is really what allowed Immortals to challenge whatsoever. Hauntzer, though, started this out very impressively, lands the barrel chain, flash forward for the auto, he has the Q, the trial by fire is down, and it's just that true damage burn that goes right through the Black Shield, finishing him off. And this is where I wonder, could Insanity not just charge into the pit? Just try to kill Closer, right?
Yeah,
that is like
should've.
2 Qs there. I think if you actually just inted in, sure, you're going to die, but who cares? If you actually land a couple Qs there and kill Closer, you probably have the better chance of actually killing the Baron. And if the TF and the Aphelios actually commits trying to stop you and trying to get it themselves, they probably die too. And there's potentially a pentakill and Baron, right? Like, you don't know if it's going to work out that way, but I just feel like that is one of those things where we've seen Insanity have these aggressive plays that have backfired for him a couple times now in late game situations. And I just can't help but wonder, is this a situation where he has those plays running through his head, that missed shockwave, that messed up his ear shuffle, and is just saying, I don't want to be the reason we lose the game, and as such, didn't go for the aggressive play, and may have done just that.
No, I agree completely. That was a missed shot there, and yes, it can be dangerous. Yes, you can make misplays by going too aggressive. That was a play I think he absolutely should have taken, and it would have really changed the course of this game. That said, Baron buff is still on for 30 seconds. Infernal Soul round 2 is in 90. And we can see now that Golden Guardians have knocked down all the Tier 1 and Tier 2 turret. They are still up in kills. They are still up 6,000 gold. The item spikes are coming through. Mortal Reminder done for Hauntzer. Solid 2.5 items there for FBI as the rest of Immortals has to catch up. Insanity is on upgraded Death Crown, though. He is gigantic. This Karthus is 16 with probably about 600 AP right now. The full AP build is online. They did delay Infernal Soul thanks to Xmithie's heroics here. And so the next fight, in 1 minute's time, as Baron buff drops off, is where it's going to really turn its head.
Yep, and I think despite the fact that they are down 6k gold, when you added, say, essentially 3,000 plus extra gold worth of value from the Ornn items on Ornn, an extra 1,000 or so on the Blade of the Rune King and the Death Crown, that makes it very close. I do think that this game could potentially just be decided at this next fight. I think that Immortals still have a good shot to actually win if they can continue denying the soul. That is tough to do, and they don't really have any map control. They're being pressured on multiple sides, but that being said, Karthus is ridiculously fed. So yeah, I was levying a little bit of criticism to him. I think he could have been more aggressive. He's still insanely fed. He's at 300 CS. He got a triple kill. He's on those 3 items. And Karthus ult at this point can kill you so easily if you're even a little bit low.
Here's the ulti. It's going to land onto one. Hakuho ults himself. Xmithie is going to be the first target. He's going to be dunked back into the team. Without a jungler, you cannot steal this. There's going to be a turret going down the split push, but Xmithie able to flash away, and now Allorim is here for the re-engage. Is this the fight? A triple stun. The double stun followed up here.
Karthus
Comes Requiem, and it's a double kill from above. That's the fight Immortals needed. A triple in for Insanity, and the game has turned around. Immortals took the fight they needed. The heroic flank for Allorim. The Requiem was there. He pressed R. He found the button on his keyboard, and Damonte can watch as he dies. He's slowed. He's got no way out. Kill number 4 is taken by the jungler, and it's time for the Drake to be grabbed with no contest for Immortals.
Welcome to the Karthus late game. The ultimate gets dropped. All of a sudden, everyone's HP is gone. And now for Golden Guardians, after losing that fight, they are going to be too far away from just an easy Infernal Soul victory. So it's going to be about spreading the map at this point. Karthus can do most of the health of a lot of your members with just pressing that R button. So incredible flank from Allorim. That was a game-winning play potentially, and we'll see what they can continue from here. The initial engage, the Bardock came through. Hakuho Black Shields himself. He is the squishier target, so I do think that was the right choice. He would have died immediately. Xmithie has flash and is able to get out. Has the ultimate ticking. He's healing back up. Here comes Allorim. 3-man knockup into the 2-man knockup with the Searing Charge. And look at the health. It's just gone. And Damonte even had to pop his Zone is at that point. Another stopwatch, I believe, was also popped by Closer. So he killed 2 people and got 2 major cooldowns with the same button.
Yep, and now Void Staff is in. So there you go. 5,000 damage, almost full of it was the ultimate. Insanity is into late game. He is ready to rock. He's got the full stack Dark Seal. I don't believe he had the money to afford Magi's, but he's obviously going to feel real comfortable. And uh-oh, Huhi, you've got to be careful. There's a pillar in range soon, but yeah, the magical journey through terrain makes him no problems. But look at this. Baron is alive. It's up right now. It's up in 4 seconds. Damonte is going to burn the ulti to get away. And he's going to have Gangplank pushing the bottom side. So split push on in full effect. We've got the Ornn recalling to defend, and Immortals do not want to take a 4v4 with Baron hitting them with their Ornn missing. So it will be a full pullback. Turret's being attacked. Turret in the bot side already dead. Hauntzer with a level lead. This can be the win condition if they can keep the team split up. This shouldn't be very close for Allorim. That said, though, he can find some damage. And remember, Requiem exists. It's being cast now. Hauntzer at 1k is dropped to 200. That is the damage that Karthus deals. Golden Guardians now have to try to find a way to sustain back up. That's going to be hard to do when they're all at half HP.
Yeah, not only does he push back the GP, he stops you in your tracks on that Baron play. Insanity flashing in, trying to finish off FBI, but he had the cleanse, so maybe didn't realize that was an option there. GP, though, back to pushing. Damonte up in the top lane, trying to push that in. Mortals didn't want to start the Baron because they didn't have TP on Allorim, and they were sending him back to base. And Hauntzer did have both ult and TP. So it's a smart move from them to just back it up and play it a little bit more slowly. At the very least, you did force the ultimate off of Insanity. It's a fairly long cooldown, but late game, it starts to come around a lot quicker than you'd like when you're an opponent.
This is the sort of crucial part of the game now because, yes, as you're mentioning, the ulti is moderately long. It is long enough that it's enough time that Golden Guardians can reset and then try another Baron attempt, and they've got about 45 seconds to work with. That's, I think, about the timer left over on this ulti, which means it's enough to play for wards, it's enough to set up a Baron bait, and it's maybe enough to get a team fight. It's not going to be enough for Infernal Soul. That's going to be up in time for sure, unless you bait it out again. But at least there is a bit of room to make the play. And so Golden Guardians, I think they need to turn on the pressure, they need to find an opening soon, because once Requiem is back up, you never win a team fight again.
Yeah, it's definitely getting really, really tough. That damage is incredible. Yes, there is some MR over on Golden Guardian's side. Not a ton, but there is some. But with Void Staff through, the upgraded Death Cap, he did go for that full late game style build, and he reached it, right? He made that bet. We talked about would Ludens be better, would Tier be better when it was delayed, and he kind of made his bet that this game was going to last long enough that he would get there, and he was right. So in this case, it's paying off, and he is monstrously strong. Could even go back and buy his Magi's pretty quickly here, as he has 10 stacks, so it is worth the upgrade. It's not super slot efficient at 10 stacks, but you don't need that. And they're just going to start up the Baron right now. They see GP on that bottom side. Allorim almost has his teleport, but this is going down fast.
Tempered Fate buys some time. Is there a re-engage? Can they find a battle? The stun lands into Damonte. He's going to cleanse and get away. Stays alive. True shot. Sorry, I keep saying it wrong. Cannon barrage over the top. Big damage on Apollo. Will get healed up. This re-engage needs to happen. Insanity dropped low. They need a little bit more damage to kill him off. Keep in mind, Requiem will turn the fight around. They don't quite find the stun. Huhi's getting chunked down. Closer goes in, looks for the dunk. They get the kill into Karthus, but watch out for the re-engage. Requiem's going to hurt a whole lot. When does the stopwatch come down? FBI barely stays alive, but it is enough for Ornn to knock down Gangplank. Now there's a re-engage. Hakuho is low, Closer low as well. Apollo slowed down, but they cannot yet find the re-engage. When do the cards come back out? When can Ashe die? They find a stun, they find a punch. The Ashe won't drop. She's still staying alive. The Black Shield is on as well, and Apollo can now lifesteal off the wave thanks to the Blade of the Ruined King. And it's a 1-for-2. Fight again goes to Immortals. Golden Guardians cannot crack into this team.
And Hauntzer died. Hauntzer died in the side lane to the Requiem plus the Ornn. You can see that they're actually trying to trade for the Infernal Soul, and Immortals just realized it. They have forgot about this Infernal Soul spawn. Instead of actually trying to head down there, they now have to run immediately. The TP did come through from Damonte, so we'll see if Xmithie can get in there.
4v3 missing their most important member, though. This fight could be closer than it appears on paper. FBI and Damonte are alive. Insanity is not here. He spawns, he has TP, and he burns it. Damonte, can you catch Hakuho? No, you're slowed by Apollo. Goes for some damage. Re-engage comes in. This is a 5 versus 3. Damonte jukes away from a binding, but be careful. Allorim can still come in. They managed to kite it out. Requiem's still down. Apollo still gets the black shield from Hakuho and is not taken down. So here comes the Infernal fight yet again. Closer is not around. Barrage over the top. Xmithie gets the spike, gets a million health back as Apollo is still alive. One kill comes through, make it a second. There is a fight going well for Golden Guardians as the third Drake goes through for Immortals. When does the gold card come down? They find damage onto Allorim. He's going to stay alive. He cannot find the knockup. He's going to get dropped so dangerously low. FBI tries to kite it out. Xmithie in the front line, but tanks can't kill him. It's the ace, and Golden Guardians may have finally found a late game team fight they can win. The death timers are 50 seconds. If not now, then when? It's time to push in for the base.
It is an insane ending here. Golden Guardians will be able to take this. There's no one up for so long. They have the minion wave, and they have done it against the odds here. Immortals was taking over in the late game, but Golden Guardians, they focused on the fight while Immortals had to focus on that dragon, and as a result, they are going to win this game.
The crucial Requiem cooldown was not available as Insanity came back in. Golden Guardians said now or never, and it was now. They will take the win. They will improve to 5 and 6, keeping Immortals out of the playoff picture.
What a scrappy ending. That was crazy. Immortals hung on for so long. But because of the situation they found themselves in right there, I don't think they initially realized how quickly that Infernal Dragon was spawning. It looked like they were moving over to the Baron, and then when they realized, oh crap, they get soul if we don't get to the Dragon now. But there was multiple members on the Immortals side who had no health. I don't even know if they would have had time to reset, but I mean, Hakuho was really low. Allorim was low. Insanity wasn't there at the start and didn't have Requiem. They weren't able to get into a situation where they could actually, safely take this fight. They tried to rush down the Dragon because they know closer's coming out. They know they didn't have enough health, and they just got shredded by the GP ult, slowed down, poked down, and Golden Guardians find a way to make it work.
Requiem was the determining factor of how Immortals could win any team fights, and when it was down, Golden Guardians pressured as fast as they could. There was a literal 3v5 for moments of that team fight, and Golden Guardians said, this is our best chance, 3v5, but the R button isn't there, so let's go for it. It was enough. They lose the Drake, but they got all 5 kills. Beautiful work by Golden Guardians, a well-deserved win to close that one out at the end of the day. Now, after the break, we will hear from Damonte in the Verizon postgame interview, so be right back.